There we go. So I just started the recording. Hi, my name is Wanda Miller. I'm the Assistant Director at the John Germain Memorial Library in Sag Harbor. Today, we are here to conduct a local spotlight interview. We've been doing these to capture the experiences of our local community during the COVID-19 pandemic. These interviews are being recorded as historical documents to be used in the library archive, and they may also be posted to the library social media as we work to help create community connections and help people feel that we're all in this situation together. Thank you all for joining us today. I'm really happy to introduce Kristen Dehler. She's a teacher, writer, and a speaker. Thank you so much, Kristen, for giving us your time today.
Oh, thank you for having me, Wanda.
I'm going to start off with a question, which is sort of a repeat of the intro, and it's primarily for the transcript for the archive. What is your name?
Kristen Dehler.
If you're willing, what year were you born?
1974.
How long have you been in Sag Harbor?
8 years now.
And what kind of work do you do?
I'm a reading teacher and as a classroom teacher for a long time. And I'm a writer, and I travel for speaking engagements to teach mindfulness and meditation. So before everything, I was traveling to different school districts.
Thank you. How has COVID-19 changed your job or what it is that you do?
So I've always been a teacher in schools and in classrooms, and spoken at gatherings and auditoriums. And so I'm not doing that, as all of the schools are and everything is closed. The world is closed. And so I'm working part-time from home now, so screen to screen with some students, but not with the regularity I was before. So it's checking in, it's the students that I've held on to that want to continue, that feel, there's a mutual feeling that, they can benefit from the sessions that are through the screen. Really what's happened is that I've become both of my children's teacher at home, and that is taking up the majority of my day. And, I've heard from all over that, wow, you're really lucky to be able to have a teacher teaching, but it's really different to teach your own children and also in your own home. And so there's not that intrinsic discipline built in the way that it is when they go to school and they learn from someone who's not their mom. So, my work has really, I can still write from home. I always wrote from home, so that remains. But my interaction with students and people is very limited right now. And I think that, there's some effable dimension that is, completely different when we don't share the same physical space. I think the technology has been amazing that we have this, that we can see each other, is a gift, and it has its limitations. It's not the same. And so we have to work with what we have. And we are.
Yeah, we are. It's really become a part of daily business, I think.
It has, and there are inevitably glitches and moments lost. But I think we find the humor sometimes in that too. I think, a lot of therapists and other people have working one-on-one, and helping professions. And there are some funny things that go on and that have happened, via Zoom and Google Hangouts. And I think for my own children, it's just nice to be able to hear their peers' voices and see their faces, and their teachers as well, to have that time to feel like, to see people in their own homes and there's a vulnerability there. And so that is a silver lining, I feel. We don't often get to see all sides of the people we spend the most time with, which is at work or at school. And so this is another dimension of
Yeah,
that.
it is definitely. How has COVID-19, oh, sorry, I'm repeating a question. Have you ever experienced anything like this before?
Oh, never. No, no. I mean, we're living history right now. And through all of the outbreaks that have happened in the past, it always felt as though it was some other part of the world, and it didn't really touch every part of the world, and certainly not all of the United States like this has. And to have every business, everything closed down with the exception of what has been deemed essential, to not be making plans, to not be celebrating and doing sports, just so many aspects of what makes us feel human on a daily basis, to feel like that as a loss right now is quite a shift. And I, on such a global scale, there's nothing in my lifetime that I could compare this to. I do think quite a lot about my grandmothers and past generations who have lived through times of depression and war, and their stories that I remember them telling resonate with me more now than ever, because for the first time in my life, we're being asked to make not the sacrifices they made. And I couldn't compare that at all. I feel a lot of us, it feels as though we're all in the same boat, but we're not all in the same storm, someone had said. And that's very true. This is not an equalizer. I think so many things people are going through are so individual based on their circumstances. But and it's heartbreaking, it's heartwarming, you feel fortunate, and we feel. So this is, I have such compassion and empathy for people who have lived through really tremendous times in history, more than I thought I felt before, but I feel more now because of what we're all experiencing.
Thank you. How has it changed you personally?
Oh. Well, I feel there's an opportunity every day to really live in the present. And, I've practiced mindfulness, I teach about mindfulness, and I think I've felt I've had this opportunity to really, the pacing of life has changed so that I am more present, and I do experience our daily lives a bit differently now, because a lot of this feels like grief and, and hope, and hoping that, it will get better, and not knowing when, and feeling that loss, like we really have no control only over ourselves and how we are in the world right now, and trying to keep ourselves safe and our neighbors safe by following what, the scientists are telling us. But, back in August, again, like everybody's situation is different. We lost our home to fire in August, and our house was knocked down in February. And we got over the loss of that, and we were all of us got out okay. We lost most of our belongings, and we lost our home, and we're living with family now. So I'm not in my home right now. And, it's been 10 months. So then we were ready to build. And as soon as the house was completely demoed, COVID, was breaking out in the United States, and all the construction stopped. And so that has been really hard and frustrating, because there's nothing we can do about that. And so I think it's an opportunity to continue to be, you think you're resilient, become more resilient. I think I'm hopeful, I can be more hopeful. And I think it's also important to feel sad, and our pain is our pain. So I think I'm just feeling a lot of different things all at the same time while trying to do the best we can, you know, to not just survive this, but try to thrive through this a little bit by finding the silver linings and the things we're grateful for every day.
Thank you. What routines have been different for you?
Well, I think we all go to bed a little bit later and we get up a little bit later because we're not up and out of the house, up and at 'em these days. So while so much has been said about how routine is really important and sticking to that, and I agree, I think we've allowed ourselves to relax a little bit on that. And so if that means, you know, just being a little more flexible with our routine, that's fine. Um, it's pretty wild not having, I mean, how we celebrate, right? I mean, we've done birthday parades in cars and drive-bys and things like that. So that's different. The how I'm experiencing time on any given day depends on the day. Is the sun shining? How are our energy levels when we wake up? You know, and I think just trying to see where we are on any given day and know that people say, oh, it's like the same day over and over again. Yes and no. Sometimes it feels like a, you know, different day, different animal. It really does depend. And I think we have to like look at that and just, you know, do our best on any given day. So
What do you think things will look like for yourself and your work in the future?
well, so I can speak to education. And I think, you know, looking at, I don't think anything's going to go back to the way it was until we have a vaccine. And that's going to be a while. And in looking at other countries in the world where students have returned to the classroom, it seems that it is very different there in certain countries. And I would imagine this will happen here as well. We may not all be able to go back every day all at once. There may be, I would imagine we're going to be wearing masks for a while, you know, and in-person teaching will be limited perhaps for a while. And you know, the gatherings that we had in schools, like in Sag Harbor, you know, in the elementary school, we have morning program every day. And we stopped a morning program once we became very aware of what was happening. And then Sag Harbor proactively closed, you know, completely, but we were not having morning program meeting where the whole school came together in the gymnasium to sing and to make announcements and to put on plays and all the lovely things that we really appreciate coming together for. So I think it's going to be a while before we get back to being in close proximity to each other. I think we're going to be spaced out for, you know, our school desks and, you know, how many people come into a room. Or I think all of that's going to look very different for a long time.
Are there any things that you think would help with the recovery?
Yeah, I think we have to make sacrifices right now, and we have to be responsible and call on all of our self-discipline to wear our masks and to really listen to what the scientists are telling us. I think it's really important that we listen to the scientists who are studying this every day and working on this, and that we maintain social distancing. It's so hard, right? Because we're human beings and we want to touch and hug each other and share in food and drink, and we can't do those things right now. I hope that people are getting that message, that we can't live the way we're used to living, and the more we practice that, I think the sooner we can get out of this, hot zone that we're in. But it's going to take some sacrifice and some discipline and ongoing. And we're seeing in other countries where things loosen up and the numbers flare up, and then they have to tighten the restrictions again. I think in the United States, we're going to have that back and forth for a while, it seems. So just everybody doing their part would really be helpful to the recovery, and also just supporting the science and getting to that vaccine and this testing.
That's a lot of thought about that, yeah. Is there anything else about the experience that you would like to share?
My hope for human beings, for our planet, is that we come out of this better, that we learn something from it, that we don't squander this as an opportunity, because I think in times of hardship, and there's always an opportunity for us to do better and to be better. And I think we've become, as a species, human doings, and I think right now we're forced more to be human beings, and that's what we are. And I just hope I know I miss so much. I'm missing so much right now of the world, and I miss people and wearing a mask out in public and trying to make eye contact with people and smile, like with my eyes if I can. So, because some people, I live with my family, and not everybody has somebody to go home to. And I feel like, if anything, we come out of this realizing we are really in this together, and that we continue to evolve as a species, that is the silver lining, when we come through this, and we will come through this. So I'm feeling like we have to keep growing our hope.
Do you think that there's any support that the library can provide through this?
Well, oh gosh, in my fantasy, the library shows up at my house with a cart full of like physical books. I just miss the physicality of the books in the library, but I know that's not possible right now. But I think that the library is doing a wonderful job. If anybody goes on your website and gets your emails, there's something for everybody and every age and every interest to do. So I think the library is doing an amazing job. The parenting group that I'm a part of at the library, we meet Wednesday nights just like this, and we get to talk and support each other. So I think just keep on doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Can't wait to be back.
Thank you. And you've mentioned this word a couple of times. Have there been any silver linings for you, or anything that's inspired you during these times?
Yeah, I drove, my parents live 85 miles west where I grew up, is in Nassau County, and I missed my mom and dad terribly. So I drove to see them, to sit in the yard with them, and we wore the masks and everything. And to just see them was wonderful. It did feel like oh my gosh, I wanted to hug them and hold them when I saw them. And it was very strange not to do that. There's this thing psychologists refer to as skin hunger. I think we're all experiencing that a bit right now. But I found that when we sat in the yard that day, there was no agenda. There was no getting ready to sit down to eat. There was no place we had to go, nowhere. There was no agenda. And so I found that when they were talking, and they were talking about stories from my grandmother in Italy in World War II, and my father coming here to America for the first time. And then they were talking about, you know, my mom's side of the family and living through the Depression. I really, really listened to what they were saying. And I found that it was one of the most rich conversations, discussions we had ever had. I just to be in their company, because we wanted to be together for no reason other than we missed each other and wanted to be with each other and listen to what everybody was saying. And that felt like that hit the soul. That's why we're here. I think we all need a good listening to. And I feel like I'm listening more. I have more time to listen to my kids. I'm not rushing to get ready for a sports event, which is wonderful. We love our sports, but the things that took up so much of our time before we went into quarantine are not there anymore. And so we can slow down. I can show them how to cook and fold a towel, and just I'm teaching them things and they're teaching me things. So I think those silver linings are the gifts that we never asked for, but they are gifts.
Thank you so much for sharing and opening up this way. Does anyone else have questions for Kristen? Do you have anything else you'd like to add at all?
I just want to wish everybody well, stay strong, stay healthy, wear a mask, and just keep hope and keep reaching out to people.
Thank you so much, Kristen. It's really been a pleasure to talk to you. I appreciate it.
Wanda. Thank you, everybody.